people today. They could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer.
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
Your money lives longer.
I just bought that.
I just sold that.
And your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Welcome to AARP Illinois' virtual event. It's so wonderful to have you with us. AARP is on a mission to connect with individuals across various communities, especially those aged 50 and above. We're here to listen, understand, and address the unique needs of you and your community as we age. Our goal is to enrich your experience by expanding our local activities, providing opportunities for you to discover and engage with all that life has to offer right here in your own community and virtually. As we journey through today's event, we invite you to consider joining our dedicated team of AARP volunteers. It's a chance to make a meaningful impact and help us better serve those 50 plus across the nation. Connect with us and be a part of this vibrant movement toward positive change. Welcome, and let's make this event both fun and transformative.
Hello, and welcome to this special presentation from AARP Illinois. We are counting down to Bike the Drive coming up this August 31st in beautiful downtown Chicago on DuSable Lake Shore Drive. And we have two exciting presentations this week to lead us into that great event. The second part airs today, Monday, August 11th, and part two will be airing on Friday, August 15th. Today, we are pleased to be joined by our friends on the SAFE team at the Chicago Department of Transportation. George Morales is our speaker today, and he'll be speaking to us briefly about Bike Safety 101. And then join me briefly after George's remarks for closing, and we'll tell you more about the event to come up on Friday. Thank you. George, take it away.
Hi, my name is George. I am a Chicago SAFE ambassador. SAFE stands for Streets Are for Everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about Bike Safety 101. We're going to give you some safety tips and some other things to look out for. So SAFE stands for Streets Are for Everybody. As SAFE ambassadors, we are the traffic safety and education team for the Chicago Department of Transportation. We provide traffic safety education all over the city. Some events we participate in are table events, engagements at schools, at parks, and we also offer free Learn to Ride classes. So why do we bike? We use an acronym called FEET, which stands for Fun, Exercise, Environment, and Transportation. We like to say it's fun because it gives us a sense of freedom. We get to go on adventures and explore the city. We get to make connections with other people who share those same passions as biking, or we get to build those passions while we bike. It's also physically challenging, which leads into the next part, exercise. It's a low-impact form of exercise that can improve your cardiovascular health. It boosts your mood and reduces your stress. It's also healthy for the environment. It's an earth-friendly transportation option that can help reduce your carbon footprint and contribute to cleaner air in our communities. Biking is also a great form of transportation, and it might be more convenient to bike than drive, depending on the distance. When you're biking, it's a pretty simple task to do, but being prepared ensures that you can ride smoothly and safely. Some of those things to prepare for are doing a helmet check, doing an ABC quick check to check your bike, wearing the proper gear, and route planning. Part of wearing a helmet is making sure it's on properly, right? When you get a helmet, you have to make sure it's the right size helmet so that it fits your head. Part of doing the helmet check is making sure that it's protecting your forehead. So we do something called an eyes, ears, and mouth check. So we position the helmet and make sure it's covering our forehead. And then the straps that are going to be on the side of your head will be between your ears. Sometimes there are adjustable buckles, and you want those buckles to meet right below your earlobe to make sure it's snug. After, you can buckle your helmet and make sure that there is only about 2 fingers of space between your between your chin strap and the chin. If it's too loose and you get into a crash, the helmet might fall off. So you want to make sure it's nice and tight. One way to check that it's nice and tight is that if you were to open your mouth with the strap buckled, you should feel the helmet push down on your head. And you can do a shake test as well. Part of ensuring a smooth ride is doing an ABC quick check as well. You want to make sure that there's air in your tires, which is the A in ABC quick check. You want to make sure it's hard as a basketball. You also want to check your brakes. There are 2 types of brakes. You're going to have brakes on your handlebars. So you're going to squeeze those levers and try to move your bike back and forth. If it's very, very difficult to move it, or it doesn't move at all, then the brakes are nice and tight. You also have coaster brakes that are going to be on the pedals. You want to give those a little push back, and if the pedals stop, then that means those coaster brakes are working properly. You also want to make sure that there's grease on your chain so that it ensures a smooth ride. And you want to make sure that your chain is not rusty. If it's rusty, it is likely that it will break during your ride. We also have what's called quick releases. You'll find those right under your saddle. And you want to make sure those are always nice and closed. Sometimes you might even see them on your tires. So in the middle of your rim, you'll see that there are some quick releases. It allows the tire to come off quickly. So you want to make sure those are nice and tight before your bike ride so that the wheels do not fall off. And the last part is the check. You want to lift the bike up to about your ankles and drop the bike and make sure you catch it. And you want to make sure that there are no loose items on your bike. If there are, make sure that they are nice and tight before you go on your bike ride. Because the seasons change, you have to make sure you layer properly. So if it's cold, you want to make sure you're wearing a jacket and gloves, and also check the weather before you leave your house. You want to make sure that if it's gonna rain or if it's a little cloudy, you have a raincoat or the proper gear to make sure that you can stay safe while you're on your ride. Sometimes visibility is pretty low and motorists will not be able to see you. So you want to make sure that you're visible to them, whether it's foggy or snowing or raining. You want to make sure you're prepared for all of those. You also want to protect your extremities. So make sure your feet are covered, your eyes, your noses, all of those things you want to make sure you're protecting. And also always wear appropriate shoes and socks. You want to be visible when you're on the street because of weather, and sometimes you might ride late into the night. So always wear bright colors or reflective gear. You always want to make sure you have lights and reflectors on your bike. Both is better, but if at least you have some reflectors, that would be okay too. You want to make sure you have red lights on the back of your bike and white lights in the front of your bike. That makes sure that you are matching the cars while you're on the road. You don't want to confuse the cars and make them think that you're biking away from them or biking towards them when you're really not. You can also make noise with your voice or use a bell or maybe a horn. When you're on the road, you also want to be predictable. So you want to follow the rules of the road the same way the cars do. So that means stopping at stop signs and stopping at a red light. You also want to yield to pedestrians if they're crossing the street. Part of being predictable as well is riding with traffic and not against it. You don't want to ride against traffic because head-on collisions can be very dangerous. And so you want to ride in the direction that the cars are all driving as well. That will ensure a safe, smooth ride. Being predictable also means letting other people know your next move, which means using your hand signals, because on a bike, we don't have turn signals or light on our bike. So you would extend your left arm for a left turn, and you would extend your right arm for a right turn. When you're stopping, you're going to extend your left hand out to the side and make sure that people see your hand. Part of riding predictable is riding in a straight line, right? So you don't want to cut off any cars or zigzag around them, because you never know when a car is going to make a slight left turn or a slight right turn to adjust themselves. So we want to try to avoid cutting off cars and just ride in a straight line and wait for traffic. We want to also avoid getting doored, which is a common crash among cyclists and motorists. So you always kind of want to ride either in the center or the left side of the lane to avoid these type of crashes. Try to give yourself about 3 feet between parked cars and the bike. This part in particular is going to be for motorists and also for passengers, because the city is built with bike lanes on the side of the passengers now, and other cities are too. You want to make sure that passengers and motorists are aware of this new technique. It's called the Dutch reach, and all it is to open the door, you use your forehand. This means you have less reach, and it will allow you to open the door only slightly, and it kind of forces you to look back to make sure that there are no bikers on your side of the car, right? If you open the car door with your hand that's closest to the door, you have more reach, and you might forget to check to see if there are bikers behind you. So try to use the Dutch reach and use your forehand to open the door. There's also a 3-foot law where motorists are supposed to give you 3 feet minimum to bikers. So when you're on the street, try to make sure that the cars are giving you enough space. A right hook crash is another common crash between cyclists and motorists. So always look for turn signals, and if there's a car next to you and you kind of can't see that, you might be wanting to slow down, and so you can see that if they're turning, and if not, then you can proceed, and avoid their blind spots, because sometimes they might try to turn and beat you and cut you off. So you never want to challenge those cars if they are going to turn right. Left hook is also another common crash. So try not to hide behind next to the cars, because if that car ends up beating you passing the intersection and there's a car that's going to turn left, you don't want to get into a crash. So avoid those blind zones and try to wait for the cars to pass so that the other cars for oncoming traffic can see you. We also have a speed problem here. So any car going 20 miles an hour will take about 63 feet to stop. Now, if they were to hit somebody that was walking or cycling at 20 miles an hour and they were to hit them, those people have a 95% chance of survival, which is not bad. But if they were to go just 10 miles faster at 30 miles an hour, it takes now 89 feet to stop, and the chances of survival go down to 55%. If that person were to go 10 miles an hour faster, it now takes 164 feet to stop, and leaving their chances of survival to 15%. So who's the most vulnerable on the streets? There is a modal hierarchy, which is what you see right here in front of you. And so the most vulnerable people are going to be the people walking. So pedestrians, and right below them, you'll see that it's biking, then transit, commercial traffic, and then cars. So we believe that if we can prioritize the people walking and biking, and make it safer for them, it should make it safer for everybody else down the line. Making the streets safer for everybody, because again, streets are for everybody. A little stat that we have here is that 42,060 lives were lost due to traffic deaths in 2020. This is the equivalent of a regional-sized plane crashing every single day. Because it's not a plane crashing, it doesn't get as much attention, but it should, because 42,000 deaths due to traffic is a pretty high number, and we can definitely get that number down if we prioritize people walking and biking and make it safer for everybody. So how can we protect those most vulnerable road users? There is new and safer infrastructure that the city of Chicago is implementing here. You'll see some buffered bike lanes and protected bike lanes here in these pictures. The city now has some bike boxes where cyclists can safely stop in these areas, and cars cannot be in those areas, so that they can make a proper left turn or just have a safe spot for them to stand on the street. Some safer infrastructure includes contour bike lanes. So on one-way streets, it allows bikers to travel safely on both ways. Now, that means riding against traffic sometimes, but because these streets make cars slow down, it makes it a little safer for everybody else too. And so now we get to route planning. Planning a route as a cyclist is important for several reasons. There's a safety factor in it. So you want to avoid like high traffic areas. You want to make sure you're biking on the bike lanes. If you can find protected bike lanes, that's even better. And again, just avoiding those busy roads to make your commute a lot safer, right? It also saves you time. So when you plan your route, you don't have to look at your map all the time. You don't have to look at your phone all the time, which could make it unsafe, especially if you're not stopping. So you'll save time and energy by avoiding those unnecessary detours as well. And also you get to explore some scenic routes. Also, we have a Chicago bike map for this city where it identifies the protected bike lanes, neighborhood greenways, off-street trails, and much more bike lanes. Also, these bike maps will also show you where there are bike shop locations. So if you were to ever need a quick repair, you could just grab one of these maps and find one easily in case your phone dies and you don't have access to the internet. Thank you, and follow us at Chicago Safe.
Thank you, George, for that presentation on bike safety. I hope everyone learned something important about staying safe and enjoying traveling through your community by bike. Again, please remember that AARP Illinois will be at Bike the Drive Sunday, August 31st. We'll be there all morning. If you haven't registered yet for the event, please do so at bikethedrive.org/register. That gives you the chance to ride your bike up and down DuSable Lake Shore Drive free of any motor traffic. It's a great event. Tens of thousands of people take advantage every year. And we will be there yet again, AARP Illinois, at the Active Transportation Alliance tent in Grant Park. So before or after or even during your ride on the drive, stop by and see us. And you'll have the chance to get a free gift from us while supplies last. So again, we're looking forward to seeing you at Bike the Drive on August 31st. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us again on Friday for the second part of our